I have the new updated best Fortnite settings in Chapter 6. These settings are perfect to dominate ranked, have the smoothest mechanics, and have the best aim. And with the addition to so many new settings this season, and Fortnite OG just returning, you will have the advantage over everybody. So like most people, I've always been a controller player that's too scared to switch to keyboard and mouse. So when I finally made the switch over to keyboard and mouse, I didn't know what mouse to use. So that's when I decided to look at what some popular pros like Peterbot and Polarize were using, until I found the perfect mouse to use. And finally, I decided on getting the Logitech G Pro Super Light. And ever since I have made the decision to get that mouse, I have never regretted it, because this is by far the best mouse to use for Fortnite. This is the best mouse for many different reasons, like it being one of the lightest mice out and how easy it is to glide across your mouse pad. Now with a good mouse, you also need a good DPI, and many people also don't know what DPI is or what DPI they should be using. So basically, DPI is just another sensitivity that you can customize for your mouse to give you better performance. And the best DPI in my opinion, and the DPI that I use, is 800 DPI. The reason I like 800 DPI so much is because that is what I feel gives me the best mechanics while still being slow enough for me to have really good aim. And 800 DPI is the best DPI that matches my in-game sensitivity the best. So now getting into my settings. The display settings are pretty simple. You obviously should be using full screen. Your resolution should be set to 920 by 1080, and turn your VSync off. Alright, now this setting is really important. So basically your frame rate is what makes your game run smoothly and look nice. So you want to be using the maximum amount of FPS your PC can run without lagging. So for me, 240 FPS is what my PC can handle, but customize it to your liking and how much your PC can handle. Now performance mode is a setting that will allow you to turn up your FPS, because performance mode will take away the things that are making your frame rate drop in game, allowing you to turn up your FPS to a higher amount without lagging. So make sure this is on. Now my graphic settings are pretty much default. My brightness is set to 115, and I don't use colorblind mode. But one thing I did change in my settings is my view distance, and I have it set to far so I can see enemies from a longer distance. So now for my game settings. Your matchmaking region should obviously be set to auto. So for my movement, I have toggle sprint on, so every time I move, I automatically run. I have my auto open door set to off, because if I'm fighting an enemy in the middle of a building, I don't want to accidentally open one of the doors and get killed. For my combat settings, my hold to swap pickup is off, my toggle targeting is off, and my mark danger when targeting is on. So basically when I'm scoped in with any gun and I ping something, it automatically pings as a red ping to indicate there's an enemy over there. Auto pickup weapons is on, because if me and another person are battling for the same chest, I will get the weapon before them and I will easily get to take them out. My preferred item slots are on, so basically if I pick up a certain gun like a shotgun, it will automatically go to that slot I have it selected to. So these are the slots that I use to match my keybinds the best. For the first loadout slot, you should have an assault rifle. The second slot, you should have a shotgun. The third slot, you should have an SMG. And for the fourth and fifth slots, you can change them to your liking. But for the fourth slot, I have utility. And for the fifth slot, I have a consumable item. My auto sort consumables to the right is on. So when I pick up minis, for example, they will automatically go to the back of my inventory. These are my building settings. For keyboard, reset building choice doesn't really matter that much. Now this setting is really important and something people really don't think about. Disable pre-edit option. I think it is extremely smart and useful to have disable pre-edit option set to on, because if you're in the middle of an edit course or simply trying to piece control someone and you accidentally switch to pre-edits, it will mess everything up and possibly even get you killed. So turn this on. Auto confirm edits is set to both so that I don't have to confirm the edit when I'm editing or resetting something. It just confirms on release. Alright, so now moving on to the setting that came with the addition to Chapter 6, simple editing. Now this setting has mixed opinions, but I'll tell you what I know about it. If you're not good with editing and you're pretty slow with it, I recommend using simple edit, because it makes all the edits for you. But if you're already really quick with your edits and extremely good, then there's no point in using it, because it will only slow you down. Now here's an example of what simple editing looks like compared to normal editing. Alright, so now moving on to one of the most important parts of my settings, and that is my mouse sensitivities. And all of these sensitivities are set to perfectly match the 800 DPI that I mentioned earlier in the video. So my X and Y sensitivities are both set to 7.9, and my targeting and scope sensitivities are both set to 32.7. For your building and editing sensitivities, you can just leave them as default, because that's just going to be your X and Y sensitivities. And over time with testing and trying out many different sensitivities, I found that these are the best sensitivities that match 800 DPI the best and allow you to have amazing aim and great mechanics. Another important setting that people don't really know about is your custom diagonals. And these are super important because that is what allows you to look around like you're on a controller controller instead of being super stiff with your camera. So my forward angle is 60, my strafe angle is 71, and my backwards angle is 135. Alright, now moving on to the most important part of this video, the best keybinds that you should be using. So first off, my sprint keybind is set to 2, and that is different from a lot of people. Most people have it set on shift, but the reason I have it set on 2 is because it is right above my W key and the easiest thing to click with my index finger. My crouch and slide button is set to control, and I usually have my pinky on that or shift. Most people that try to switch to keyboard and mouse and don't see overnight success and progress just blame it on the keybinds and give up. But you have to understand that it's not going to be comfortable or even easy to you at first, and it may be a little bit frustrating at times, but you just have to get used to the keybinds and you will eventually be good. My use button is set to E, and that's used for opening chest or picking things up, and that is right next to my W key, so I click it with my pointer finger. So my pickaxe is set to T, and that's also really easy to click, and I also click that with my pointer finger. So now moving on to my weapon slots. My first weapon slot is always going to be an AR, and all I have to do is click down on my mouse button. My weapon slot 2 is my shotgun, and you're going to be using your shotgun the most out of everything, so that's why I made it the easiest to get to, and I set it to scroll wheel down. Weapon slot 3 is usually an SMG or a sniper, so I have it set to caps lock. Or for weapon slot 4, I use X, and to press X, I move my pointer finger down from D to X. And in this slot, you want to put something that you don't use that much, but you still use, like a sniper or some heals. And for weapon slot 5, that can be whatever you're comfortable with pressing. And for me, that is C. Alright, now for the most important part of these keybinds, and that is my building settings. So my wall keybind is pretty common across a lot of people's keybinds, and I have it set to Q. So I move my index finger off of A and click Q. Now this is where the mouse I mentioned earlier in the video really comes into play, because basically on the left side of my mouse, I have 2 side buttons that I click with my thumb. So my floor is set to my top side button, and my ramp is set to my bottom side button, and all I gotta do is click it with my thumb. And my cone is also really common with a lot of people, and I have it set to shift, and I use my pinky to click that. Now your traps keybind can be somewhere out of the way because you don't really use traps that much, but mine is set to V. Now the editing bind could be the most important bind out of all these settings, so mine is set to F, which is also really common because it is super easy to click. I also have scroll wheel reset on, so here's an example. If I edit, all I have to do is scroll up on my mouse once and the build will reset, and the rest of my binds are pretty much default. Besides, my ping is G. guys did enjoy the video and any of these keybinds helped you in any sort of way, let me know in the comments. And do me a favor and subscribe for more OG Fortnite videos. And without further ado, Finerx out.
I can't trust little shawty, she a runner. Cut this Cartier like a stunner.